Hello, a warm welcome. The United States and Israel are intensifying their bombing of Iran. On day 6 of the war, Israel said it had targeted a missile launcher in Qom and an aerial defence system in Isfahan. There were also blast reports in Tehran. Pentagon officials claim there's been an 86% drop in Iranian missile launches. President Trump says the United States is now in a very strong position.
Tremendous progress that's being made. Their missiles are being wiped out rapidly. Their launchers are being wiped out. They're attacking their neighbors. They're attacking their, in some cases, allies, or not so long ago allies.
But air raid sirens have been sounding through the night in Tel Aviv and as missiles were intercepted. This morning there have been further attacks on Doha in Qatar. The Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, who is in Australia, says he can't rule out his country's military participation in this escalating war. And according to Politico this morning, the Pentagon has been making plans for operations to last through September. A notification they've seen calls for additional intelligence personnel and funding that may stretch long beyond President Donald Trump's 4-week timeline. Let me bring you up to speed with all the other news this morning. The British Defence Secretary, John Healey, is heading to Cyprus. The UK's allies have criticised Downing Street's slow response to Tehran's retaliatory strikes. Cyprus's High Commissioner to the UK said the least his country expected was robust defence of the island. Typhoon and F-35s are in operation, but HMS Dragon, brought out of maintenance, will not be there until next week. In Washington, the bipartisan resolution that may have curbed President Trump's ability to wage war against Iran was voted down in the US Senate. The War Powers measure was rejected in a 53-47 vote, largely along party lines. The Iranian ship sunk by a US submarine off the coast of Sri Lanka was reportedly heading back to Iran from an eastern Indian port. This is the hospital where the sailors are being treated. The Pentagon video purporting to have captured the attack showed the warship being hit by a torpedo that blew apart the stern of the vessel. Iran says it is sending a second warship to Sri Lanka and claims this morning it has targeted a US tanker in the Gulf in retaliation. The first evacuation flight that's been organised by the British government to bring people home has been delayed by a technical issue in Amman. It is due to leave later. A second is due to leave London sometime today. Some commercial flights are now resuming from the Gulf countries. 48 flights an hour through an air corridor in the UAE. And Ben Gurion Airport in Israel has just reopened to limited flights. Right, let's bounce across the region and get you up to speed with events there. We can speak to Lena Sinjab, who is in Beirut. More strikes, Lena, in Beirut overnight.
Yes, indeed, in south of Beirut and in the south of the country, but also on a highway that has lots of movements of civilians. 2 vehicles were attacked overnight. We're not sure who are the targets. Israel says it's targeting members of Hezbollah, but many civilians are caught in fire. The government says at least 70 people have been killed so far and hundreds injured, with almost 80,000 now displaced. They had to flee their homes and towns and villages, seeking shelter in schools or just sleeping in the street, waiting to see what's going to happen. And as this is happening, also Israel gave, warning of evacuation from villages and towns across the border. From the south of the Litani River, ordering them to move to the north of the Litani River, which is making people really worry about Israel's expansion and boots on the ground and how long this is going to last.
What are we hearing from the leader of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem?
Well, this is also adding to the worries because he made his first appearance yesterday in a televised speech where he basically defended Hezbollah's position, saying that Israel was breaking the ceasefire agreement over the past 15 months with continuing attacking Hezbollah. And he said that the group is going to continue defending itself and fighting Israel. But this is something really what many people in Lebanon are criticizing, because when Hezbollah responded, they responded to Israel after the assassination of the Iranian Supreme Leader Khamenei, dragging the country into a war that everyone was warning Lebanon not to allow Hezbollah to get involved in this war. And now it's really hard to see how this is going to stop, although the government made it clear that Hezbollah should be banned from any military and security activities, and any war and peace decision are solely made by the government, yet Hezbollah broke all the rules and got this country involved in war again.
Yeah, very difficult situation for the government in Beirut. Lina, for the moment, thank you. Let's go to Doha in Qatar. More explosions this morning. Barbara Pledasher is there, and they're evacuating the area around the base of Al Udeid.
Well, they're evacuating the area around the U.S. Embassy. That was a notice put out yesterday evening, overnight actually, saying that this was being done as a precautionary movement, so not indicating that there was an immediate threat. But of course, U.S. embassies have been hit in other parts of the region, in Riyadh and Kuwait and in Dubai. And also Al Udeid was hit, the U.S. military base was hit 2 days ago. So according to the Qataris, this is just to make sure that they are taking every step possible to protect citizens. Although we have been hearing in the last 10-15 minutes quite a lot of explosions, anti-aircraft or defense, air defense fire, I think. So there does seem to be missiles or drones coming in at the moment.
The Qatari foreign minister has spoken to his Iranian counterpart, Barbara. What has he said to him? And how long do you think the Gulf states are going to sit on their hands?
Yeah, the Qataris are very angry. So the foreign minister called his counterpart in Iran yesterday. It's the first time they spoke since the conflict began. And he rejected the argument that the Iranians were giving, which is that we're not targeting the state of Qatar, we're targeting American interests in the territory. He said, no, that's not correct. You're also hitting residential and civilian infrastructure. He said, he accused the Iranians of trying to harm their Arab neighbors and of trying to drag them into a war, he said, that is not ours. And so he demanded that the attacks stop immediately. He was quite outspoken about it. But you have had various Gulf states issuing statements of condemnation since Saturday and saying that they reserve the right to respond. So far, they're very focused on defense, and they have a very robust defense. They have air defense systems, very expensive air defense systems that they have been employing for the past 6 days. But what we understand from the Pentagon briefing yesterday is that the number that Iran's strikes have dropped sharply, which suggests that they might be running out of both weapons and launchers. If that is the case, then perhaps it will stay this way in a defensive mode. But the Gulf states are also, I think, considering whether they will need to move on the offensive at some point. Everything is being considered at the highest levels, we have been told.
Barbara Pledasher in Doha, thank you very much for that. Let's go to Jerusalem. Yolande Knell. A busy night, Yolande. Interceptors fired through the evening, the sirens going off again. We're being told by the Pentagon that they've dampened the firing of ballistic missiles, but I guess it doesn't feel like that there.
We just came out of an air raid shelter a short time ago, Christian, so that was another incoming Iranian missile. Warning sirens went off here in Jerusalem between 3 and 4 in the morning, waking up many people, sending them off into their shelters. The same happened in Tel Aviv and big swathes of Israel. In the north also there have been warning sirens for incoming drones. So definitely it still does feel that the country is at war, but you know, there have been these comments from the Israeli military too. There was a briefing a short time ago where the chief spokesman stressed what they see as the military successes against missile stores and missile launchers in Iran. And he said, the spokesman, that there is now air superiority, freedom of action in Iranian airspace, allowing us to reach any location and strike any target. We've heard from the Israeli military that completed more strikes strikes on Iranian regime infrastructure. That's what they're calling it this morning. And they're also planning to ease at noon local time the restrictions on the Israeli public that have been in place, saying that is because really, although there are still missiles incoming from Iran, there are fewer missiles being fired. Sometimes it's just one, not a barrage. And that is much more easy for the Israeli air defences to deal with than what we've seen in previous days.
We just heard from Lena in Beirut, more strikes on the south of the city. What is the IDF saying about their operations across the border?
So when it comes to operations against Hezbollah, they're saying that they have hit more than 320 Hezbollah targets in Lebanon in the past few days, about 80 of those in the past 24 hours. The Israeli military claim is that more than 300,000 Lebanese residents have already left their homes in the south of the country in response to these Israeli military evacuation orders that have been given for everybody south of the Litani River to go north because that is seen as being a Hezbollah stronghold. We have heard from colleagues who are close to the northern border with Lebanon that there is real evidence there of the big Israeli military build-up with more tanks, soldiers appearing close to the border.
Yolande in Jerusalem, thank you very much for that update.